Hello everyone. Today's topic is biodegradation of pesticides and myself Dr. A. Mathuri, Assistant Professor of Microbiology from Government Degree College for Women, Begumpet. Today let us understand what are pesticides and what is the need for degradation of these pesticides, whether they are getting degraded in the nature or not, and what are the different strategies to degrade these pesticides, and what are the harmful effects if these pesticides are not degraded. All these issues can be discussed in today's session. So now let us start with our session. Now, what are pesticides? Basically, pesticides are chemicals which are used for killing of pests in agriculture, in the field of agriculture. Okay, pests are nothing but some insects which may cause some harm for the crop. Okay, so here pesticide in the word itself, if you break the word, pest means pest, and side, cid, means killing. Okay, so pesticide means it is some chemical which is helpful in killing the pests. Okay, so now we have understood what are pesticides. Now let us try to understand what is the need for biodegradation of pesticides. Okay, what do you mean by the word biodegradation? Bio means life, degradation means cutting into small pieces, okay, or degrading the compound. Okay, so here biodegradation means for degradation or for breakdown of pesticides, we are using biological agents, that is some living organisms, that is microorganisms, right? So as we are using microorganisms for degradation or breakdown of pesticides, this process is called as biodegradation of pesticides. Now here we have to understand first the what are the ill effects of pesticides or harmful effects of pesticides on nature. In this, first and foremost is disturbance in biological equilibrium. Means when pesticides get accumulated in nature, there will be some inequilibrium in the nature. Biological inequilibrium will be there. And next is increase of disease susceptibility. When pesticides are increasing, definitely they will enter into the organisms and they will harm the organisms, even humans. So when by this they will increase the disease susceptibility or reduce the immunity of organisms or humans. Next is bioaccumulation. Bioaccumulation means, again bio means living organisms, accumulation we can understand. Accumulation means something, some product is getting accumulated over period of time. So coming to this concept of bioaccumulation, here we can understand this word as these pesticides are not getting degraded in nature. There is every possibility of these pesticides entering into the food chain, and when these are entering into the food chain, they are entering into different organisms, and gradually the concentration of these pesticides is increasing day by day in the organisms. Okay, means they are, these pesticides are getting in, accumulated in living organisms, that is why it is called as bioaccumulation. Next is development of tolerance. Here as these are the chemicals, the organisms are getting tolerance. Mainly here we are talking about pests. Okay. Mm, the generally pesticides are used by farmers in the farm or agriculture fields, right? So they do not have much idea of how much to use, or there will be some disturbance or some problem in their usage. So due to this like unwanted usage of pesticides, the pests will develop tolerance towards pesticide. Okay, so pesticide is a chemical which is meant to kill the pest, but due to unwanted usage of pesticides, the tolerance levels in the pests is also increasing. Like, next, disturbance in reproductive physiology. When these pesticides are getting accumulated in living organisms, it is also disturbing reproductive physiology, means reproductive system or functioning of the reproductive system is getting disturbed in living organisms. Especially in humans, we can see the direct effect of this uh, infertility problems. Next, effects on behavior, not only reproductive system, it is also affecting the mental status of organisms due to these chemicals. Next, effects on wildlife, fish, and other aquatic organisms. As we have discussed, when we spray these pesticides in farms, ultimately from the soil they will get washed out and they will reach the water bodies, where they will enter into aquatic organisms or fish, and from this they will again enter into other organisms which are involved in the food chain. Okay, they will enter into all organisms of the food chain, which may also include wildlife. So in all the organisms we can see the pesticides. And even effects on plants are also getting negative effects by these chemicals. Yeah, we are using pesticides for the benefit of the crop plants, but sometimes they are becoming harmful for even plants. So there is every reason for we have to check for the other alternative ways, where these pesticides which are getting accumulated in nature day by day must be degraded in some or other manner. Now, what are pesticides? We have discussed these are the chemicals applied on the crop field. Only 0.1% of the substance is used to kill the target organisms, and the remaining 99.9% is spread over in the environment. As I already told, very little amount is required to kill the pest, but due to lack of proper knowledge, the farmers are using in larger quantity in the farms. So the remaining whatever 99.9% pesticides is there, this chemical is causing harm, or it is getting spread over the environment, and it is damaging the environment. Through the food chain, it ultimately reaches the humans. Okay, so from the farm it may enter into, first it may enter into the plants, or it may enter into the water body, where anyway it will reach the food chain, and it will ultimately reach humans, because we are the ones we who are adding these harmful chemicals into the nature. Many pesticides are non biodegradable and sparsely degradable. So whatever these chemicals are there, toxic chemicals, they are non biodegradable, means they are not getting degraded by any microorganisms present in nature, or sparsely degradable, means if some of the pesticides are degradable also, they are very rarely degraded to a very little extent. They remain in the environment for a long time in toxic form, inflicting the adverse effect on the ecosystem. So, as they are present in the environment for longer time, they are becoming toxic for different organisms in the ecosystem, and bioaccumulation or biomagnifications further accelerate the pesticidal pollution problem. As we have discussed, bioaccumulation means the accumulation of these pesticides in different organisms. And same thing, alternative name for bioaccumulation is biomagnification, because the amount of pesticides is increasing in the organisms day by day. In this slide, we can see different pesticides and their persistence time in nature. For example, the first pesticide, that is aldrin, it is being present in the nature without degradation for around 15 years. 15 years is a very long time, and during these 15 years, it may enter into different organisms, different sources in the environment. It may damage many lives on this planet. Next is chlordane. This is also persisting in the nature for around more than 15 years. Same way, DDT, dieldrin, endrin, all these are entering is more than 14 years, and all the remaining four pesticides at the top are persistent in nature for more than 15 years. Next is malathion. It is present in nature for around 3 years. Next is parathion. It is persistent in nature for more than 16 years. And next is PCP, that is pentachlorophenol. It is being present in nature for more than 5 years. Similarly, simazine is being in nature for 2 years, and 2,4,5-T is present in nature for more than 190 days. So this, seeing this slide, we can understand the complexity of the problem of pesticides which are causing harm to the nature. Next, microbial degradation of pesticides. How this concept of degradation of pesticides has started. It was started in 1974 by scientists named Bolag. This scientist suggested four main possibilities for transformation or inactivation of pesticides by microorganisms. Okay, so this scientist, he suggested four main possibilities for transformation or inactivation of pesticides by microorganisms. Means he suggested there are four ways. What for transformation means change of conformation of the structure of pesticides from one form to another form, that is transformation. Or inactivation means it, we are inactivating the pesticide, or in some way we are decreasing or reducing the harmful effects of the pesticides by microorganisms. So let us try to understand what are these four main possibilities. First possibility is the pesticide is used as a substance and energy. Means this pesticide must be used by microorganism as a source of substrate, and as well as energy. Means the microorganisms should utilize or should break down this pesticide. In turn, the microorganism should get their carbon source as well as energy source. Next, the pesticide, second possibility is the pesticide can undergo co-metabolism, that is organisms transform it but cannot derive energy for growth from it. Okay, in here co-metabolism means we are providing pesticide for the microorganism, right? The microorganism will degrade the pesticide, but this pesticide will not serve as a source of energy or carbon source for the microorganism. So along with the pesticide, some other substance must be provided which can act as a source of carbon and energy for the microorganism. Here it, in other words, we have to give two substances to the two substrates to the microorganism. Among them, one will be pesticide and the other will be the source of carbon and energy for the microorganism. That is called as co-metabolism. Co means together, metabolism means breakdown. It will break down two compounds together, from which one will be pesticide and the other will be substrate which will give carbon source and energy source for the microorganism. Next, third possibility is the entire pesticide molecule or its intermediates can be conjugated with naturally occurring compounds. Okay, means here we are taking pesticide molecule or its intermediates can be conjugated with naturally occurring compounds. Means we are trying to mix these pesticides or intermediates of these pesticides with the natural compounds, so that along with the degradation of these natural compounds, the pesticides can also get degraded. And the last possibility is the pesticide is incorporated and accumulated within the organism. So, and the last possibility is the organism, at least if it is not able to degrade the compound, degrade the pesticide, at least it should be able to incorporate that pesticide or accumulate that pesticides within that organism. So these are the four main possibilities given by Bollag in 1974 for the microbial degradation of pesticides. Next, here we can see these are the major classes of pesticides. One is organochlorine compounds. Here we can see organochlorine compounds are of different classes. One is hexachlorocyclohexane and its analogs. Example is lindane. Second one is polychloroterpenes. Here examples are toxaphene, polychloropinene. And third class is polychlorocyclodienes. Examples are heptachlor, dichlor, dispyrrole, endosulfan, aldrin, etc. And last class is derivatives of, and the second category is derivatives of carbamic acid. It includes endrin, dieldrin, chlorodane, kelthane. And third category is organophosphorus compounds. First one was organochlorine compounds. Here it is organophosphorus. In place of chlorine, we are saying phosphorus. Okay. So these are again different types. First one is derivatives of phosphoric acid. It includes di dichlorovos, derivatives of phosphotioic acid, parathion, bromophos, phentheon, phoxim, etc. And derivatives of phosphorhodithoic acid. Examples include cyanophos, trichloro, metaphos. And last category, derivatives of phosphoric acid related malathion, etc. So these are the different classes of pesticides, and these are the examples, suitable examples which are covered under these classes. So here in this classification, in this table, from this table we can understand what type of functional groups are present in different pesticides. We can get some idea, rough idea. Next, microbial metabolism. This metabolism of pesticides by microorganisms is of two types. First one is enzymatic and non-enzymatic. Means we can use some enzymes for degradation of pesticides, and the second method is non-enzymatic degradation of pesticides. Means enzymes are not involved in degradation of pesticides. Next, the enzymatic mode of metabolism is divided in three phases. First one, incidental metabolism of pesticides, which cannot serve as energy source. Means here we are talking about enzymatic action, and this can be uh, seen in three phases. In the first phase, there will be incidental metabolism, means by chance the pesticides will be broken down, which cannot serve as an energy source. Here pesticides are not serving as an energy source. And the second phase is wide spectrum of metabolism involving hydrolases, oxidases, etc. Here the insecticides serve as substrates and electron acceptors are donors. Okay, in the first phase we have seen there will be degradation of the pesticides, but pesticides are not serving as a energy source or carbon source. But in the second phase we can see that many of the pesticides are getting degraded by enzymes such as hydrolases, oxidases, etc., where insecticides or pesticides are serving as a source of uh, energy and source of electron acceptors, donors, etc. Next is co-metabolism. We have already discussed about this concept, where compounds structurally very similar to natural substrate, means here the organism will think that pesticide to be another compound which is a natural compound due to structural similarity between both the compounds, and by mistake it will degrade the pesticide. And the last one is catabolism. Insecticides serve as energy source. Catabolism is breakdown. Here these pesticides are serving as energy source. And the last one is detoxification, means serving as a resistance mechanism. The above possibilities or the phases which we have seen, they belong to enzymatic degradation of for pesticides. Now coming to the non-enzymatic patterns for degradation or biodegradation of pesticides, one is photosynthetic breakdown. During photosynthesis, some of the pesticides, if they are getting broken down, that is photosynthetic breakdown. And next is contribution via pH change, means here we can understand that different microorganisms are existing in nature, and they are doing or performing different functions, different metabolic activities will be carried out in nature, which may result in change of pH in nature. So this change in pH may affect the stability of the pesticides, or it may help in degradation or instability of the pesticides. Next is production of organic and inorganic reactants. Here again, due to metabolic activities of the microorganisms, some microorganisms they will release organic acids into nature. Organic acids or inorganic acids, organic reactants or inorganic reactants will be released into nature. These compounds will react with the pesticides. And next is production of cofactors. Some microorganisms, due to the production of cofactors such as magnesium or manganese, these also help in the degradation of pesticides. So here clearly we have seen what are the enzymatic processes and non-enzymatic processes for degradation of pesticides. Moving on to next slide, that is microbial enzymes for degradation. So how these enzymes are helping: microbes that can degrade must be present at the site or brought to the site. So if we know that X microbe is degrading Y pesticide, so there are two possibilities. Okay, first possibility is taking that microorganism to the site of pesticide, and the second possibility is presence of microorganism, that particular microorganism at that particular pesticide site. So whatever we have to make these two ends to meet, that microorganism and the pesticide. Next is microbe must attack the pesticide and convert them into harmless products. So what is our aim when we are talking about biodegradation of pesticides? We want something like when these microorganisms are attacking these pesticides, or when they are degrading these pesticides, that pesticides must be converted into some harmless products, so that nature can be uh, preserved from this pesticides. Next, environmental conditions, temperature, pH, nutrients, depth, diffusion, spatial variability must permit microbial growth and activity. So just getting the microorganism and pesticide together will not help in the degradation process, but other factors, other environmental factors are also helpful for this degradation process, such as optimum temperature. For any pathway or process, biodegradation process requires an optimum temperature or a particular temperature for that pathway to get operated. And similarly, pH will also affect, nutrients will also affect, depth at which this degradation is occurring will also matter due to oxygen concentration, and diffusion is also matters, spatial variability also matters. So all these environmental conditions must be under control, or they must be favorable for this degradation pathway to occur. If the contaminant is present in the subsurface, that subsurface must be permeable enough to allow perfusion with a solution of oxygen and nutrients. Okay, so whatever pesticide is there, if contaminant is present in the subsurface, that subsurface must be permeable enough to allow perfusion with the solution of oxygen and nutrients. Means there is a pesticide, there is a uh, compound which has to be degraded, but it is in a subsurface manner. Means it is not present on the surface, it is present in the subsurface. So the enzymes which we are using, that enzymes must be in a position, or they must be permeable enough to reach that subsurface by perfusion or any other method, so that it can degrade that pesticide. Now here we can see these are the different bacteria and these are the pesticides. Okay, so Achromobacter was found to degrade pesticide DDT, 2,4-D, carbaryl, etc. And Aerobacter aerogenes is found to degrade dieldrin, endrin, etc. Similarly, Agrobacterium is helpful in degrading chlorophane. Arthobacter is degrading aldrin, malathion, etc. Bacillus is degrading methyl chlor, and Clostridium is helping in degradation of heptachlor, 2,4,5-T, etc. And Corynebacterium, Erwinia, Enterobacter are degrading DDT, whereas Flavobacterium and Micrococcus are degrading diazonone, parathion, and Micrococcus are degrading aldrin and dieldrin. So this this was already confirmed by the scientists that these bacteria can degrade these pesticides because they are producing that particular enzymes which can degrade the pesticides. Similarly, here we can see there is a list of different bacteria which are able to degrade different pesticides. Now this here in this slide we can see different fungi responsible for degradation of different pesticides. Next, biochemistry of pesticidal degradation. Now, what is the actual mechanism behind this pesticide degradation is aliphatic carbon chains are degraded by beta oxidation sequence. Aliphatic carbon chain means straight carbon chain. Okay, so this it is not aromatic, benzene is not there, and just carbon chains will be there. So these carbon chains means we are talking about the structure of the pesticide. If in the pesticide, if there is an aliphatic carbon chain, that carbon chain will be degraded by beta oxidation sequence. Beta means alpha is the first carbon, beta is the second carbon, and the second carbon will be oxidized. Okay, this is beta oxidation sequence resulting in C2 fragments. Means every second carbon will be broken down, which will release C2 fragments. C2 fragments means two carbon fragments. Um, For example, acetyl CoA. They are further metabolized through TCA cycles. When these C2 fragments are released from the first pathway by beta oxidation sequence, if C2 fragments are released, these C2 fragments will get further metabolized by another mechanism, that is TCA cycle. Next is substituent of aromatic rings is removed partially or completely. So majority of the pesticides are having aromatic rings in it or benzene structures in it. So these aromatic rings are removed partially or completely by different enzymes. Next is aromatic ring structures degraded by dihydroxylation and ring cleavage mechanism. So we were talking about aromatic rings just now. So how these are degraded? They are degraded by dihydroxylation. Di means two, hydroxylation means addition of hydroxyl groups, means two adding of two hydroxyl groups onto benzene ring is called as dihydroxylation. And then ring cleavage mechanism means ring can be cut by different mechanism. If substituents on aromatic rings are halogens, nitro or sulfonate groups, then they are unnatural, so they cause interference in oxygenation and cause recalcitrance. Okay, if there is a just a benzene ring, there is no problem. But if there are different functional groups such as halogens, nitrogen group, nitrate group, or sulfonate group, these compounds or these substituents are increasing the what do you say, recalcitrance of the pesticides. What do you mean by recalcitrance? It is the resistance for degradation. Means if these groups are present on this benzene ring, these pesticides are becoming more difficult to get degraded. Next, if substituents are methyl, methoxy, carboxyl, carbamyl groups, they can be removed from blocking positions metabolically. So if the substituents are some other groups such as methoxy group, methyl group, carboxyl group, or carbamyl group, they can be removed by other mechanisms by blocking positions. Next, saturated ring systems are more refractory than the aromatic analogs. Means saturated ring systems. Saturated means there is no double or triple bond in the ring system. They are more refractory than aromatic analogs. Analogs means structurally similar compounds. So saturated ring systems are more easy for degradation. They do not support growth of any microorganism. However, they may undergo co-metabolism. These aromatic compounds, sometimes they may mm, undergo co-metabolism. In the earlier slides, we have understood what is co-metabolism. Next is organic molecules to be degraded become more complex if it consists of aliphatic, aromatic, alicyclic, heterocyclic portions together in combination. So when this pesticide degradation will become difficult is when they contain all these compounds together, that is aliphatic, aromatic, alicyclic, heterocyclic portions together. Next, if the moieties are connected by ester, amide, or other bonds in the molecule, then the cleavage of such bonds in the molecule um, by microbial enzymes is the first step of attack, and then subsequent degradation of moieties occurs. Okay, so in the pesticides, if there are ester bonds or amide bonds or other bonds, first these bonds must be will be cleaved or broken down, and then rest of the molecule will be broken down. Site and mode of initial attack is detrimental by the molecular structure, enzymatic capabilities of microorganisms, and environmental conditions that prevail. So where the first attack must be done on the pesticide, it depends on the microorganism and the environmental conditions in which the pesticide is present. Next, this is the degradation of DDT. DDT scientific name is 1,1-bis fluoro 4-chlorophenyl 2,2,2 trichloroethane. This is the structure of DDT. So here this DDT can be converted into two forms. First one is DDD and the second one is dicophol. First let us see what is this dicophol. Here you can compare the structural changes in this compound. Here hydrogen is replaced by hydroxyl group. This is the only change in this molecule where DDT is converted into dicophol. And coming to this part, here the change is present at this part. CCl3 is converted into CHCl2, means one chlorine is removed from here, that is DDD, that is 1 bichloro 2 bis 4 chlorophenyl ethane. This is the DDD. These two compounds can be resulted from DDT. Next both the compounds will be converted into this FW152, that is 2 bichloro 1 bis 4 chlorophenyl ethanol. This compound, if you can compare what is the change from the previous compound, is here hydroxyl group is there and here chlorine group is removed from this. So it is the combination of these two molecules. From this you can see this OH group and from this you can see this CHCl2. So this is the compound, and this next, in the next step, this is converted into DBP, that is 4 dichlorobenzophenone. Here in this structure we can see that hydroxyl group is changed to double bond O, and here CHCl2 is also removed. Next and on further degradation there will be ring cleavage and further it results in carbon dioxide. This is the degradation of DDT by phenerochete chrysoporium. This is the mechanism of degradation. Next, degradation of BHC, benzene hexachloride. This is the benzene. Okay, here this is also a benzene. Hexachloride means 6 chlorine molecules will be there. 1 2 3 4 5 6. Okay, this is the benzene hexachloride. This will be converted into trichlorocyclohexane. Tetrachlorocyclohexane means 6 chlorine. Out of 6 chlorines, 2 chlorines will be removed, and here you can see 4 chlorines, that is giving tetrachlorocyclohexane. And then this tetrachlorocyclohexane is converted into dichlorocyclohexane. Then it results either into benzene or into chlorobenzene. Next is gamma uh, hexachloro hexachlorocyclohexane. Here you can see beta hexachlorocyclohexane is converted into all these products. Here gamma hexachlorocyclohexane means orientation will be different. This is again converted into same tetrachlorocyclohexane. Then after some intermediates it will be converted into chlorobenzene. This is the degradation of henosan. This is another pesticide. This henosan, you can see this is the structure of henosan. You can see two benzene groups are joined with the two sulfurs, which are in turn joined with the phosphorus, and which is bonded to C2H5O. This is the structure of henosan. First it will be converted again. Here you can see conversion of this compound into three forms. Okay, in the first reaction it is getting converted into ethyl sp hydroxyphenyl s-phenyl phosphorodiethionate. Okay, and the second form is ethyl s-phenyl hydrogen phospho thioate. And the last form, third form, is ss diphenyl hydrogen phosphorodiethioate. So three different enzymes are involved here. It can result in three different forms. Ultimately this form will be converted into here this when this form is converted into this form, this is again converted into ethyl s phenyl hydrogen phosphothioate. Okay, so and this compound will be converted into C2H5O POOH2, that is ethyl dihydrogen phosphate, which is ultimately converted into orthophosphoric acid. Coming to this compound, this is again converted into S-phenyl. One benzyl ring will be removed, and This sulfur will also be removed from this position, resulting in S-phenyl dihydrogen phosphorothioate, which again will lead to the formation of orthophosphoric acid. So ultimately, this compound, which is chemically very complex, will be converted into simple molecule, that is orthophosphoric acid. Next, cyclodiene insecticide. This is dielrin, aldrin, heptachlorfluorine, etc. comes under this category. These are stable insecticides, and number of many microorganisms are capable of degrading these compounds which contain chlorine and are stable, and the major microbial attack appears to be on the non-chlorinated rings. Next is organophosphate and carbamate degradation. The most common reaction mechanism evolved by microorganisms to degrade these insecticides is by the hydrolysis process through esterases. Okay, in this reaction, to degrade these insecticides, hydrolysis process will happen. Hydrolysis means, lysis means breaking and presence of water. Hydro means water. Through esterases, enzymes involved here is esterases. The oxidative processes are rarely observed. Here, oxidation is not seen, and reductive degradation systems among the microbes are present. Means reduction reactions are seen. The major degradation route of parathion is the formation of amino parathion. So parathion is converted into amino parathion. Next is degradation of herbicides. Herbicides are used for the control of weed plants, and the compounds contaminate the food and water as pesticides. And here, the phenoxyalkyl acid herbicides are detoxified in soils and aquatic environment are due to microbial action. These herbicides are getting detoxified or degraded in soils and aquatic environment by the different microorganisms. Next is halogenated aliphatic acid. The major degradation process is by hydrolytic enzymes, and they release halide ions in the presence of some halide acceptor. The degradation means here halogen is present, so halide ions are released, leaving that aliphatic acid alone. Okay, when this halide is removed, the potency or toxicity of the compound will be reduced. Degradation may proceed without being accompanied by the release of halide ions. The substituted halogens are more readily dehalogenated than corresponding beta substituted analogs. So alpha substituted and halogens are easily dehalogenated or broken down when compared to beta forms. Next, GEM. This is genetic engineered microorganisms. We are modifying the genetic system of the microorganisms, or we are um, inserting some genes into microorganisms to degrade some of these pesticides through plasmids. So here important strategies are, we are using transposable elements, or we are rearranging the genetic material, and there are transfers between unrelated strains. All these factors will help in making of gems, and these are the plasmids. This is the host, and this is the size of the plasmid, and these are the features. Okay, so just here you can see, this is the camp plasmid present in Pseudomonas. It is helpful in degrading camphor. Okay, next is SAL plasmid. It is present. It is also present in Pseudomonas. Uh, Helpful in degradation of salicylate. TUL plasmid helpful in degradation of stolin. P5, P4 help in degradation of lactose, 2,4-D and lactose. So, formation of superbug. Indian-born American scientist Anand Chakrabarty in the year 1979, he developed this superbug. In this superbug, the important feature is it has got different genes. Okay, so genes responsible for degradation of environmental pollutants. In the last slide, we have seen proline, chlorobenzene, acids, and other pesticides. So some 3 to 4 genes are inserted into one pseudomonas, and that is called as a superbug. This was developed by Anand Chakrabarti. He categorized the plasmids into 4 groups. Okay, so he has taken different plasmids. 4 groups he made. One is OCT plasmids, which can degrade octane, hexane, and decane. Octane means 8, hexane means 6, decane means 10. So this is the number of carbons. XYL plasmid degrades xylene and toluene, CAM plasmid that degrade camphor, and NAM plasmid that degrade naphthalene. So these are the 4 plasmids. He want to insert these 4 plasmids into one bacteria, which he is calling as a superbug. So this is the OCT plasmid. This xylene is inserted into this. It has resulted in the bacteria which is having 2 plasmids, and then he inserted camphor. So this is having 3 plasmids, and then he inserted NAM, and it has got 4 plasmids in the single bacteria. This is called as superbug, which was developed by Anand Chakravarti. The superbug is Pseudomonas putida. So with this, we have studied about the degradation of biodegradation of pesticide, and gem is a genetically engineered microorganism, or superbug is one of the achievement by our Indian born scientist Ananda Chakravarti. So here we have learned many things, such as what are pesticides, what are herbicides, what are the structures, and how many classes they belong to, and how this degradation is occurring, where the initial attack is being happening, and where the process is becoming difficult, like halogen groups, nitro groups, when they are present on pesticides, they are making the breakdown of pesticides difficult. All these things we have learned. Hope you have understood the content well. Thank you for patience listening.